Hey, what's going on, guys? Good morning, everybody. You guys have tuned into Rules for Rebels. Today is Tuesday, March 14th, 2023. Going to be covering the news in today's video. Got another kind of one of these rundowns for you. Some of the stuff we're going to be talking about in today's video. Bitcoin is up 12% on the 24-hour chart. It seems like a lot of people are fleeing stable coins and a lot of altcoins for Bitcoin, but especially seems like people are flooding out of stable coins looking for security, and they're running over to Bitcoin, which is causing the price of Bitcoin to surge. We got an article talking, actually a flurry of articles, talking about how 3/4 of home buyers during the pandemic regret their home purchase. We got Mike Wilson, the chief equity strategist and investment officer of Morgan Stanley, advising people to sell stocks on any bounces that we get. He says we're going to be entering new bear territory. We're starting to hear that inflation looks like it's continuing to trend up. We should be getting those numbers shortly, and I think just a week, 2 weeks away, we have the next Fed meeting. I believe Goldman Sachs is kind of alone in thinking that the Fed won't hike rates. Most people are thinking that there's a strong chance of a 25 basis point hike, and a few people still think that a 50 basis point hike could be in the cards. We're going to be talking about a Fiverr seller who's selling wraps. He's made $500,000 doing so and is making well over $80,000 a year selling wraps. I kind of saw that story highlighted the other day. It's been a while since we talked about side hustles and entrepreneurs and things like that, so I thought that was kind of a neat story. We'll share that with you, and we're also going to be talking about the SVB bank bailout. We are once again bailing out banks. It's a little bit of a short news day. I mean, we could go on and on about the SVB collapse. I think there's some other YouTubers out there who've done extensive rundowns kind of explaining everything that happened. So if you're interested in getting a little bit more insight and fully understanding what happened with the SVB collapse, there's a YouTuber by the name of, let me see if I can find his channel. So Patrick Bet David did a decent video, about a 30-minute video, kind of a roundtable thing explaining this. The other video, there's a YouTuber by the name of Patrick O'Boyle, and he had his video titled Silicon Valley Bailout. So I'll link to both those videos down in the description box below. I'm not going to go super into depth. I'm just going to rattle off some bullet points about this, some things that you may not know. But if you're looking for a full understanding of this SVB bailout, check out the video from Patrick O'Boyle. I'll link to that one down below. Before we get started, shout out to the sponsor of today's video. The sponsor of today's video is Reversion. Reversion is an affiliate marketing platform. If you are an affiliate marketer yourself, go check out Reversion, sign up for an account. One of the things I like about Reversion is if you're a member of 5 different affiliate programs that all use Reversion, you can log into all those accounts with one login. They also have an affiliate marketplace where you can go and search for all the different affiliates that are in their marketplace. So you can search for different niches, search for different products. And on the flip side, I think influencer marketing is kind of dying out. I think a lot of businesses aren't seeing an ROI on it. A lot of people are talking about how a lot of the quote unquote fake millionaires or fake successful people are going to be washed out by this coming recession. I'd argue we're already in a recession. But a lot of these people who are getting $1,500, $3,000 for a single Instagram post, a lot of that's going to be drying up. Most businesses don't see an ROI on influencer marketing. So one thing I often encourage people to do is look into affiliate marketing and kind of blend influencer marketing and affiliate marketing. You can have influencers, but rather than giving them guaranteed money regardless of how much traffic they drive, regardless of how many sales they drive, get those people working on a kind of a pay-to-play model where the more traffic they drive, the more sales they drive, the more they're going to make. But on the flip side, if they're not driving any traffic and if they're not making any sales, you don't have to pay them. You can get an army of affiliates working to promote your business. Reversion makes it easy to create an affiliate program, to pay your affiliates, to track affiliate payouts and track conversions. Link in the description box below, so check out reversion.com. So before we kind of get into the markets and everything, I'd recommended a show the other day called Into the Night. It's a French show, so you either have to watch the subtitles or watch the dubbed version. I always like watching the version with the subtitles. I feel like you kind of lose something in terms of the characters and their personalities and their voices when you don't do that, although I would advise you, if you're going to start watching it in French, commit to watching it in French, because my girlfriend tried to switch it over to the dubbed version about 6 episodes in, and it's just weird not having the same people's voices and personalities and things like that. Awesome show. I'm hooked on it. Was watching it again last night. But let's kind of hop into the news for today. Yesterday, the Dow closed down 0.28%. NASDAQ closed down 1.2%. S&P 500 closed down 0.15%. The markets should have been absolutely hammered the other day. The market should have been absolutely hammered yesterday. The economy is coming apart. They just barely prevented a bank run, and we're not out of the woods yet. FDIC insurance has essentially been tossed out the window, and the government is basically just going to back any bank that fails up to any amount. It's absolute craziness. I always like to kind of look at both sides of an issue. So even though this seems like the government is bailing out their friends and donors, I guess one way of looking at this could potentially be if they didn't essentially vow to rescue everybody from losing deposits, maybe there would have been a wider run on banks, and even the little guy would have gotten hurt. But a lot of people are kind of upset that tech bros and the crypto community and risky banks are all getting bailed out, and who's going to wind up paying for it? The taxpayer and smaller banks who didn't take risks. We're also starting to see people flee out of smaller banks, community banks, and credit unions, and go to the major banks, the JP Morgan Chases, the Bank of Americas. They feel like those banks are more secure. But what winds up happening if everybody leaves these smaller banks are going to go under. People are going to lose their jobs. But also if everybody is consolidated into a handful of 2 or 3 or 4 mega banks, and one of those banks fails, then we are all screwed. You guys probably already know this, but the amount of money in FDI insurance is only 0.5% of all the money that's insured. So if there were ever a massive run on the banks, FDIC insurance would not be able to pay everybody back. But at that point, money is probably worthless. You're better off having bullets and gold and rice and oatmeal in mason jars. Let's talk about crypto. I had actually taken these notes last night. So at the time I was taking the notes yesterday, crypto had surged. Bitcoin and Ethereum were both up over 7%. And we kind of said that people were moving from stable coins into Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other top cryptocurrencies. Although I checked again this morning, and Bitcoin is actually up more than 12% on a 24-hour chart. I think we'll see more people continue to flee out of stable coins and into Bitcoin. And I wouldn't be surprised to see Bitcoin hit $26,000. I think at the moment of making this video, Bitcoin's trading at $24,810. We've been seeing a flurry of articles about how people who bought homes during the beer cough, during the pandemic, are having home buyers regret. Now, the media loves running these stories about home buyers regretting their purchases. I was actually going to make a post in a community tab of this channel. I did a video back in, I think it was 2016 or 2017, and I believe the title of the video was 74% of millennials regret their home purchase. So the concept or the idea of people regretting their home purchases is nothing new. I do think it depends on how you ask the question, right? The media likes to sensationalize things. The media likes catchy taglines, catchy headlines. So if you ask people, do you have any, did you have to make any concessions when buying your home? Did you have to make any compromises? Is there anything you regret about your home purchase? I imagine most people would say yes, because most people do make some concession or do compromise on something when buying a home. Does that mean that they entirely regret their home purchase? No, of course not. And I think if we went back and asked a lot of those people in that 2017 video who bought homes at historically low interest rates, who bought homes for substantially less than homes are sitting at today, I'm sure those people are probably thrilled with their decision to buy a home. A lot of those people's homes are probably up 30%, 40%. Some of those homes have probably doubled in price. But we're seeing articles from the National Association of Realtors, Zillow, Redfin, 3/4 of pandemic home buyers regret their home purchases. There were kind of like top 5 reasons given. Pretty much all these reasons come down to rushing into a decision. We also had during the pandemic with people working remotely, and with states like California and New York doing crazy strict lockdowns, people wanted to get out. You had a lot of people from Seattle and San Francisco and New York and Manhattan, and a lot of these coastal cities. You had a lot of these people buying a home in Idaho, buying a home in North Dakota, wanting to get out of their home state. But a lot of these people have realized that, maybe they made a rash decision and they kind of hate the area that they moved to. I saw a Reddit post on I think it was a real estate forum the other day. And somebody had left Seattle and moved to North Dakota. Not sure how you wind up in North Dakota from Seattle. I've been to Seattle. Pacific Northwest is beautiful. Seattle's kind of a dump, though it is kind of an interesting city. But the type of person who would live in Seattle and enjoy Seattle is absolutely not going to enjoy living in North Dakota. And this person, now they have a higher interest rate. The home prices in Seattle have, even though they've come down recently, they've gone up even higher from when this person sold their home. And this person is going to take a huge haircut to wind up moving back to Seattle. And in this post, a lot of people were talking about, I had a friend who moved from Seattle to Florida and they absolutely hate it. They're trying to figure out how to get back. So a lot of people who bought during the pandemic are regretting their home purchases. And a lot of people are regretting moving across the country to areas that they'd maybe never visited before or had only visited on vacation. I've been looking at Florida since about 2019 to move. I'm kind of looking around Tampa, St. Pete, Sarasota area. But I also started widening my search, and I started looking in South Florida from Miami all the way up to, West Palm Beach. And, I'd see some cool homes online. I'd see some cool homes with a pool or something like that. And at times I was tempted to maybe put an offer on some of these homes. Glad I didn't. I just recently went down to South Florida for the first time in a long time. And not only do I not really like the vibe of South Florida, the traffic down there is absolutely insane. So if I had bought a home in South Florida as opposed to, I love Tampa, I know plenty about Tampa, but if I had made a rash decision to buy something in South Florida, I likely would have been one of these people who are miserable with their move. Let's see, what else do we got? Mike Wilson, Chief Equity Strategist and Investment Officer from Morgan Stanley, says, sell any bear market bounces until we hit new lows. Isn't it funny how these banks and all these financial experts are flip-flopping like twice a week about whether the economy is going to crash or surge? It feels like on Monday we'll see an article. Jamie Dimon of Chase says the economy is in for rough times and a rough landing. And then later on in the week, Jamie Dimon of Chase, on Wednesday, 2 days later, Jamie Dimon of Chase says the soft landing is still possible. And then Friday again, dire warning for the economy coming from Jamie Dimon of JP Morgan Chase. Next story of the day, Illinois has enacted a paid leave for all workers for any reason. One of the few states, I think there's maybe only 2 or 3 states who do this. For every 40 hours worked, you will accrue 1 hour in paid time off. You must give your employer a reasonable amount of time for requesting off. The maximum amount of time that you can earn is 40 hours. And this is eligible to employees who work for businesses of any size. So oftentimes, when rules like this are put in place, it's employers with over 50 employees, employers with over 100 employees. This applies to every employer out there. So if you're a small-time landscaper and you have one employee who's kind of your assistant, for every 40 hours they work, they'll get 1 hour in paid time off. I thought this was an interesting story. If you get caught drunk driving in Latvia, they'll take your car and ship it off to Ukraine and give it to the Ukrainian people. Completely off topic here, but I happened to see this on Reddit or Twitter or something like that, and I thought it was kind of interesting, just kind of a flashback. What do you guys think that the top movie rentals were this week in 1998? Again, I saw a post on Twitter or something like that, and it was just kind of funny. Top rentals for this week back in 1998 were Air Force One, G.I. Jane, The Game, and Devil's Advocate. I saw kind of a fun, kind of inspirational story the other day. A lot of times we highlight side hustlers and side hustles and businesses. There is a rapper out of Houston. His name's Mike Burton. He's 38 years old. He is selling wraps on Fiverr, custom wraps on Fiverr. He's made over $500,000 to date. He makes over $80,000 per year. He has a 5-day delivery time on his gigs, but he said it normally takes him about 30 minutes to write a wrap. And he does have upsells. So if you want like a video of him wrapping the wrap that he wrote for you, that's an extra $100. I think everybody wants to be big time celebrities. Everybody wants to be multimillionaires. But a lot of people forget that, there's money out there in niches. I'm not a huge fan of Gary Vee, but I remember Gary Vee saying something, everybody wants to be the next, Elon Musk or whatever. And really, if you're working a job that you hate, making 40 or 50 grand a year, it should actually be pretty attractive to you. The idea that you could start your own business, you may not get rich off of it, but if you can make 50 grand, 60 grand, 70 grand a year, doing something that you love and working for yourself, that should be viewed as a huge success. And so kind of my point here is this guy, even though he's not some huge rapper, he's making $80,000 a year. writing niche raps for YouTube intros, for podcasts, or even, just somebody wants to write a funny rap for their friend on their birthday or something like that. But he is making good money doing this, and he's also continuing to work on his own music as well. I thought that was kind of a cool story. This is just kind of a random note. I'm not a big fan of Trump. But this whole SVB thing, Trump actually predicted, he said this would happen if Biden wound up getting into the office. And Biden and Democrats are actually scrambling to find a scapegoat for all the things going wrong in this country. When the East Palestine train derailed, causing that environmental disaster in East Palestine, Ohio, what did Biden say? My predecessor, Donald Trump, loosened the regulations to allow this to happen. Biden has been in office for 3 years. If he had a problem with laws that were loosened around how toxic chemicals have to be transported across the country on trains. He's had the past 3 years to do something about it, and he hasn't. And now that we have this SVB banking collapse, what are we hearing again from Biden? My predecessor had loosened regulations allowing this to happen. Biden himself is actually one of the people who voted to loosen these regulations. Let's kind of touch a little bit on this SVB bank situation. FDIC insurance now means nothing. Everything is insured up to any amount. And even though SVB Bank, we were bailing out Oprah, we were bailing out tech companies, we were bailing out Roku and Etsy. Even though this is kind of Biden and Democrats bailing out their allies and friends and donors, now kind of the stage has been set. So when the next bank goes under, you can't say we're not going to bail out this bank because you already bailed out another bank. You can't kind of pick and choose who to save. So now it looks like we're just going to be saving any bank and every bank. There's also no incentive not to take big risks in banking because at the end of the day, the government is going to come and bail you out. Again, they're saying first off, they're saying this isn't a bailout. This kind of reminds me of when they said that we're not in a recession. Even though the definition of a recession has been met, we're going to say we're not in a recession because jobs are still strong, even though all of these jobs are part-time, low-wage service sector jobs. First off, they're saying this isn't a bailout. They're saying taxpayers aren't going to be on the hook for this. Where does the government get their money? From taxpayers. They're saying that banks are going to pay for this in higher fees. We as customers wind up paying the banks higher fees. The people who are bank customers are also taxpayers. So any way you cut it, any way you slice it, any way you look at it, taxpayers are going to be footing the bill for this. We also have smaller community banks and credit unions who are essentially going to have to chip in or pay higher FDIC insurance to make up for this. So you have banks that didn't take risk who are having to pay higher fees to compensate for the banks that did take risks. We've also learned that SVB Bank was paying out bonuses to employees just hours before the bank imploded, and the CEO and other executives were selling a ton of stock. People should definitely be going to prison for this, but we know that they won't. Okay, so this bank was also operating without a chief risk officer, which is both illegal and irresponsible. The person who was supposed to be their chief risk officer was going around on a wokeness diversity tour pushing LGBTQ, trans, BIPOC, immigrant, people of color nonsense. They didn't have a chief risk officer for 9 months, and it's just 9 months since she received her last paycheck. She'd allegedly been not in the office and not doing her job for months prior than that, but part of her severance agreement or leaving the company or going on this woke tour wound up including a couple months of pay and benefits even though she wasn't working. So this bank had no chief risk officer for what seems like well over a year. A lot of these tech companies were incredibly stupid. They kept all their money in one bank above FDIC limits, and now we're all supposed to feel sorry for them. Even a retired plumber who is, in theory or according to the media, not as smart as a banker, even they know to spread their money across multiple accounts and not go above that $250,000 FDIC limit. But we have to save these tech companies. And we're seeing articles about how crypto and crypto companies are going to struggle to find and maintain banking relationships moving forward. We're hearing from gold and silver dealers that they're reporting that their average transaction size has over doubled in recent weeks, right? We've talked about this in a couple recent videos. Where are you putting your money? Where's a safe harbor to put your money? People are losing money in the stock market. People are losing money in real estate. If you hold cash, you're typically losing money to inflation. But now we're seeing that your money is not even safe in cash sitting in the bank. So what do you guys plan to do? How do you guys plan to safeguard your money moving forward in 2023? what do we got here? This was the last note of the day. CNBC, something broke. Okay, so CNBC had an article, something broke, but the Fed is still expected to go through with a rate hike. Most people are thinking there's about an 85% chance there will be a 25 basis point hike. Goldman Sachs is alone in saying they don't think we'll have a rate hike. And here's something interesting. I'm not going to get super into the weeds or super into the details here. In a way, the Fed raising rates kind of led to the bank crash. I wouldn't say the Fed's responsible, but basically the bank made a stupid decision. They tied up a bunch of their money in long-term bonds for a very small return, which meant that they couldn't take advantage of the higher bond rates when interest rates went up. And then when all the customers wound up wanting their money out of the bank, they were having to sell these bonds for a loss. So a lot of people are thinking that the Fed, or I don't know, some people are thinking that the Fed won't hike rates at this upcoming meeting, although general consensus is they will hike rates 25 basis points. Though a 50 basis point hike is not out of the realm of possibility. The next Fed meeting is March 21st, and again, we'll likely get a 25 basis point hike. Anyhow, guys, that is the video for today. If you guys enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. If you guys aren't subscribed to the channel, click that subscribe button down below and ring the bell. And as always, I would love to hear your thoughts, comments, and opinions on anything and everything we've discussed today. So go ahead and drop a comment down below. As always, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.